Welcome to the Chris Davis Show. I'm your host, Chris Davis, and today we're going to talk about President Trump's transgender military ban. So yesterday morning, President Trump went to Twitter to announce his transgender military ban. He tweeted specifically, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical cost and disruption that the transgender in the military would entail. Thank you." Now, as you know, as soon as he tweeted that, he received criticism from both Democrats and Republicans, and even some private citizens. Congressman Ted Lieu, a Democrat who served in the military, said that the military doesn't care about your gender identity or who you love. Senator John McCain, who just came back from the doctor from brain surgery from his brain tumor, he is on the chairman of the Senate Armed Services. And he said, there is no reason to force service members who are able to fight, train, and deploy to leave the military regardless of their gender identity. That's what he said. Now, other people have criticized President Trump's military ban. Chelsea Manning, who is a transgender person who was prosecuted during the Obama administration for leaking out sensitive information, called Trump's ban cowardice. Caitlyn Jenner, former Olympian, who supported President Trump in his campaign and also during his administration, tweeted, "There are 15,000 patriotic transgender Americans in the U.S. military, fighting for all of us. What happened to your promise to fight for them?" That's what she tweeted. So Donald Trump has received a lot of criticism for this decision. Now, there are some lawmakers who agree with President Trump. One of them is Republican Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler of Missouri. I'm going to read you what she said. She said, "With the challenges we are facing across the globe, we are asking the American people to invest their hard-earned money in national defense." She said, "Each dollar needs to be spent to address threats facing our nation. The cost incurred by funding transgender surgeries and the required additional care it demands should not be the focus of our military resources." Okay, Donald Trump and now Vicky have said that medical services for transgender people are a burden to the military. The question that everyone is asking is that true? Is providing medical services for transgender people a burden, a huge financial burden? Is it a burden? A study done by the Rain Corporation shows that medical services for transgender military service men and women cost between $2.4 million to $8.4 million out of the $49.3 billion budget for medical services for the military. So it's very small, actually, compared to the overall budget of the medical military budget. The Today Show did an interview about this subject with someone very knowledgeable. His name is Eric Fanning, former Secretary of the Army. Let's watch this clip.
For more on this, we're now joined by former Secretary of the Army, Eric Fanning, the first openly gay leader of any U.S. military branch. Secretary Fanning, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
First of all, just your reaction Your reaction in your gut when you heard this ruling?
Well, many reactions, I think. I was disappointed, I was angry, and frankly, I was shocked that the commander-in-chief would turn his back on thousands of patriotic Americans who are serving today.
But let me be devil's advocate, because obviously you don't like this decision, but there are Americans who might be thinking, well, wait a minute, why would the Pentagon, why is the military paying for this kind of surgery, this kind of care? What would the response be to that?
My response is that it's a medical issue, and if someone is qualified to serve, raises his or her right hand, makes that commitment to possibly put their life on the line, one of the things they get as a part of that commitment is health care, and we should treat this like any other medical issue.
The White House has not said anything about whether this applies right now to those currently serving. So if you are a transgender individual, for example, possibly serving in Afghanistan right now, how does that person feel? What is that person supposed to do? What steps would you recommend they take?
Well, first of all, many of us are asking questions about what this means and how you'd implement what it might mean, which is one of the reasons we don't tweet policy. We think through it thoughtfully, carefully. We explain what it is, and we have a plan on how to implement it. But I think if you're a transgender service member anywhere in the world, you are already nervous by what you were hearing, and now you're probably very confused and very frightened about what the future holds for you when your commander-in-chief tweets a message like this, basically dismissing your service.
The president spoke of the burden of these medical costs. We just spoke about that a little bit. Also, the disruption that transgender troops cause. That was according to his tweet. Can you address those issues?
Well, first of all, I've never seen any evidence to support the numbers that are being used to explain how much this would cost. In the intro, it said a report indicated that this would increase costs by 0.13%. That's actually the high end. It's as low as 0.04%. So I don't know where these larger numbers are coming from. And in terms of burden, I wouldn't want to try and guess what the president means by that. But the only disruption I can think about in this entire conversation is the disruption of taking thousands of already trained service members who are deployed, working, performing their duties with distinction, and discharging them. That's going to be disruptive to the force. That's going to be very disruptive to readiness.
And then finally, I have to ask you, the way this all happened on Twitter in real time, the president had one tweet that said, after consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised the United States will not accept or allow ... Then 9 minutes passes before the next tweet, which states what this was actually going to be. If you were still in your old job at the Pentagon, what would you have thought waiting for that second tweet?
Well, I wouldn't have known. I would have been very concerned. I wouldn't have imagined it was going to be about the transgender issue. I would have assumed it was something geopolitical someplace in the world. Luckily for me, I saw all the tweet in one fell swoop, and so I didn't have to imagine what might have happened or what this president might have meant.
Secretary Fanning, thank you for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Former Secretary of the Army Eric Fanning has not found any study where it shows that when transgender people serve in the military that they are a burden. I have not found any research that shows that as well. All the research I have found is the RAND Corporation study that I showed you earlier in the video. In fact, reporters tried to get in touch with Congresswoman Vicky about her research on how transgender people do burden the military, and her office didn't reply with a comment. Okay, so that's it for that story. A few other stories that I also want to mention. Jared Kushner finally spoke. He spoke out this past Monday. It's about time. It's been long enough. He should have come out sooner and said something. What he said basically was he denies having an involvement with Russia. He says he doesn't know anyone in the Trump campaign that was involved with Russia. He says that anyone who brings up Russia is insulting Donald Trump's voters. He was basically denying all the accusations that the media have been making. But if he's going to be a public official, he has to talk to the media. He's legally and constitutionally required to talk to the media. If he's going to solve all these problems in the Middle East, then and he's going to have like security clearances, then he has to talk to the media. He's a public official now. If he's going to hold a government position, he's a public official, so he needs to talk to the media. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that the GOP in the Senate got a vote passed. The vote was for a debate on whether to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Now, this is just a debate. They haven't gotten a vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act. That's not what it is. They did a vote on whether to have a debate to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and they got a majority of the vote to say yes. So in the Senate right now, they are having a debate to repeal, on whether they're going to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So that's all we have for today. If you like this video, you found it informative, please leave a like and subscribe. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all of you have a great day.